Okay, we're a little late tonight with the closed session discussion, but we're here now, and and everybody on the board is here. Student representatives is Alicia Council.
Alicia.
Say it again, please. Alicia. And Jonathan Henry. Both here. Okay. All right. Jonathan, did I get you last time for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay. Jonathan, you're up.
Please stand.
Hat off.
Salute him. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was a good start. All right. Okay. In closed session, we have one matter. Mr. Neely motioned and Mr. Knack said seconded, and the board approved the appointment of Stacy Kahn as principal for the alternative program at Valley Robotics Academy. The effective date will be determined. The vote was 7-0. And that was all to report out. Okay, Mr. Palmquist, you have some participants in the United Sports participants, Unified Sports participants.
President Knack and members of the board, Dr. Washer, we have a lot of things to be proud of and to recognize tonight. None more so than our Unified Sports program. I know that many in the district either participated or were able to watch and be a fan of this amazing program. Tonight we have Aaron Aiken, who's really spearheaded the movement along with so many staff members and participants. They're going to do a spotlight report for you. Aaron?
If I get everybody to come forward, please. President Knack, members of the board, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here tonight. This is such an amazing program that I am thrilled to be able to present to you this evening. So behind me here, you'll see many of the participants of the Unified Sports League. I do have a student representative here from Bear Creek High School, Quincy. He's going to be one of the speakers that's going to speak to you this evening to tell you about his experience. Also, I have many Lodi High Unified partners, so do you understand the difference between a Unified partner and a Unified athlete? Our Unified partners are our general ed students who are willing to participate in the program, to really adopt a friend and be a part of this competitive basketball program. And we have our MVP, we consider him the MVP of the league. We have our Unified athlete, Nico Grey, and our adaptive PE specialist here to my left. Is there somebody who could change the slide for me, please? So to give you an idea about Unified Sports, it was a league that we actually put together in collaboration with the adaptive PE specialists, athletic departments, special ed staff members, student government, link crew, you name it. FFA was even involved. They got flowers together for everybody at the very end of the culminating activity. And so it was such a great thing to get together where we could get all the schools, comprehensive high schools at Lodi High School to participate in an event that would really focus on empathy and inclusion for our students in our programs. So as I stated earlier, the people that are involved with it, we do have Unified partners and Unified athletes. So we had approximately about 16 participants on the teams. They did practice 2 to 3 times per week, which was pretty awesome that they were able to get that going. Oftentimes it took place during students' adapted PE minutes or service times, and teachers were really flexible and great with allowing our student government students, they're the ones who typically participated, to be able to take part in those practices. This was a collaborative effort also with the Northern California Special Olympics. So each school actually submitted and were approved for a $500 grant to get the program started, which is great. So we were able to purchase uniforms so the students could really feel that they were a part of the program. We did have medals that were given out to all the athletes at the end of the culminating showcase as well. And again, this is a whole school engagement. Many of you I know came to the events. So awesome. It was unbelievable. We held the events during lunchtime, They were held at each of the 4 high schools, so they were each able to host an event. The stands were packed. And I think they will even attest to you that there are more people in those stands than you would see at a varsity boys basketball game on a Friday night. So that's how amazing it was. So without further ado, I would like to go ahead and have Quincy come forward to kind of talk to you about his experience in unified sports.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Quincy Glasper, senior student athlete. I attend Bear Creek High School, and I'm sharing my experience with about the Special Olympics from a teammate point of view. When I was first asked to be a part of the Special Olympics, I told Kirk, of course, not knowing what I was actually getting myself into. But as the season went on, I began to realize that this is much more than just playing basketball. I started to create a bond with my teammates, and I could tell that they were starting to get a bond with. They were starting to get a bond with me. One of my most heartbreaking or heart-touching moments was when we had a home game and I was sitting on the bench and I just looked into the crowd and I could see that everybody in the crowd was like cheering on and screaming from the top of the lungs, just cheering on all our teammates. And like it just like they really shocked me that how everybody was really involved to see like a bunch of kids just coming together to play basketball. And I really respect my classmates and my teammates for doing that and being brave enough to go out there and play. I really enjoyed this because I learned a lot from my teammates. There's never a dull moment. I go out there, we had lots of fun. There's never a time where I wasn't smiling or enjoying my time. And it's crazy that they all have different personalities and it just come from different backgrounds and they can just all come together and just have a good time. And I'm thankful for Kurt and everybody like who was able to make this happen so I can keep doing this and supporting this program.
If you don't mind changing to the next slide. This is a testament from Arnie Larson, who is one of our severely handicapped teachers. I think this sums it up, brought tears to my eyes. This is after our very first basketball game at Lodi High School. He states, quote, "Some of my student athletes were very anxious about stepping into the spotlight yesterday. They haven't had the same experiences as their general education peers. They haven't played Little League, given recitals, or had other opportunities to take center stage. However, their fears soon melted away when they felt the love, acceptance, and compassion from everyone involved in the event. For me, it was wonderful to see my students celebrated. It was incredible to see how much joy my students brought to such a terrific audience. Yesterday surely will be one of the most cherished days in my teaching career. Thank you to everyone that made this event happen," unquote. And Arnie Larson has been a severely handicapped teacher in Lodi Unified School District for over 30 years, so that's pretty amazing. I would like to introduce to all of you Nico Grey, one of our athletes.
Good afternoon. Yes, we did a lot of good time and we won. Shoot some baskets. It was quite fun and I'm sure we'll play again next season too. And it was a good time. So and I want to take you to Mr. Graham it was a lot of good time to play the game. It was fun and it was a good time. So I'm very, very proud. So thank you.
So the next few slides are just a few pictures so that everybody could see events, pictures from the events. So on the left, you'll see that is Junior Yang. We consider him the Michael Jackson king there of dance. In the middle, you do have a Bear Creek athlete with our SDC teacher, John Pepper at Bear Creek, and a Tokay athlete on the far right. Next slide, I think you can see the fans in the stands, and that's what I really wanted you to really see and how exciting this was. These were students who literally took time out of their own lunches to come and support. So it wasn't mandated that they be there. This was completely voluntary, so it's really, really amazing. Also, you can see the camaraderie between our unified athlete and our unified partner on that slide on the right. And on the next one, you can see the excitement of Tokay High School athletes as adaptive PE specialist Todd Harrington passed on a trophy There's a great story behind that trophy, but you can see the excitement and the medals around their necks. We still actually have a student at Lodi High School who wears her medal every single day. And it just brings joy to my face when I see her walking through that front gate, and she will not take that thing off. And seeing her IEP meeting and just seeing her parents, that's all they talk about is unified sports. So it's pretty great. And the last slide, you can see the cheerleaders. I know that Tokay's cheerleaders were also out there. They came to the culminating showcase, so it was a whole school effort. So it's not very often that we can be a part of something in which everybody takes place. That's what's so great about it. And again, you can see the athlete there with his great shooting form. Just needs some follow through, but he'd be great. Our last slide is just really important. Would like to recognize, because this is a huge part to these individuals that you see up here. So if I could please get Kurt Kluznik from Bear Creek High School, John Graham from Lodi High School, David Clemens from McNair High School, and Todd Harrington from Tokay High School. I do want to thank Superintendent Washer and the board, because adaptive PE specialists are very unique. Not all districts have them, and it's a huge service that really benefits our students. And it's because of these gentlemen's effort and willingness to work with these students. It was such a great opportunity for them. And behind them, I have Arnie, that I read his quote. That's Arnie Larson, longtime SBA. So again, thank you for this opportunity. We were actually looking to expand. We met with Northern California Special Olympics. They do have track and field that is actually sponsored through CIF, in which they do unified partners. So with the assistance of the adaptive PE specialist, as well as the athletic directors at each of the sites, we are looking to expand to that. They also have a soccer league, but we're going to stop here and just go with our basketball for right now, and then hopefully expand to track and field. So again, thank you for your support and time in recognizing all these individuals.
Is this the first year we've done this? Yeah, so this is an inaugural year for this kind of activity. I want to thank you guys in particular too. I know it's a labor of love, and it looks like your labor panned out. So thanks again. Thank you guys. Good job.
I can think
What's
of
up next?
I can think of about 1,000 reasons to be proud of this school district, but what we've got on tap for tonight is right at the top. And it's not going to stop there. President Connexa, members of the board, Dr. Washer, we are pleased to recognize a few other groups who have just done excellent work and I think reflect very positively on our district. If I could have actually I think this is going to be the Tokay team, Mr. Sandstrom and Science Olympiad, come on up. We're going to be recognizing the schools. Everybody who's been in this district for any amount of time knows that Tokay stands out as a science mecca in the region. And tonight we're going to recognize and represent two outstanding programs related to science. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Sandstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Palmquist, Mr. Knackstead, and the members of the board, Dr. Washer. Yes, we do enjoy representing very well in our science programs. We have for many years. A little bit of a change this year because Mr. Oshita said, yeah, I'll do it because one of our other folks decided to become a board member, apparently. Hi, Ms. McFarland, how you doing up there? You know, she's part of this as well. But our science teams have always done exceptionally well, and this year is no exception in that. And if Mr. Oshita can come up here and share a little bit and introduce our team. Mr. Oshita.
Thank you, good evening. Just want to thank a village. It takes a village to run this program at Tokay, and I apologize if I forget somebody, but I'd like to thank the board, your support, the school district, Mr. Sandstrom, the staff at Tokay for all the help they give us, the parents, the hours that they spend coaching and supporting our teams financially and through donations and things. Can't thank them enough. The parents, also the teachers that coach our teams. There's 23 different events, and we need coaches for each of them, so everyone does their part. I want to thank them also. Unfortunately, about 3/4 of our team isn't here. A lot of them are student athletes, and they do things. I'm sure they're at some swim meet or track meet or something like that. So just want to let you know that they're all not just all science nerds, I guess we call them. And so, one board member mentioned a few years ago to me that the only time success comes for work is in the dictionary. And I guess about 6 years ago, I stood up here and told everyone how smart these kids are. And it's not a matter of intelligence here. They're all smart. Every school has smart kids, but I think our kids just work the hardest. So that's what I attribute our success to. So I'd like to introduce Christopher Coloni on our purple team. Ruby Dillon. Zach Atirin. Michael Sheila. Jonathan Henry. Tyler Smith. That's all we have for today.
One of them will come out. Thank you. Who do we have next?
So this next recognition can sometimes be confused with Science Olympiad because it's science related, and it's no mystery that Tokay excels in this as well. Science Bowl is another competition where Tokay scientists have distinguished themselves. Mr. Sanford.
Thank you, Mr. Palmquist. And again, yes, in fact, with our Science Bowl for our region, if you recall, the past couple of years, Tokay had been the host site. This year, I believe, it was moved down to Modesto again, place. But our Tokay, again, our science students and students in that area, and Ms. Eberly can share with you a lot of it. But especially when you watch the final rounds of playoffs and quizzes and things like that, and some of the questions are absolutely amazing. And when our students just, oh yeah, I know that. And it's like, it's a cloud. No, it's not a cloud. It's some type of cloud or something, that's water vapor. No, that's not water. There's some other explanation. And they have it. They nail these questions. And it's pretty impressive when you go and watch it. So Ms. Everly, if you could bring your Science Bowl folks.
Good evening. I have to say this was another really exciting year. We were in the finals, and our team was tied at the end of the competition, and we had the last set of questions, and our team rang in for the answer, and the other team beat us by a millisecond and won by one question. Anyway, we took second place. And I do want to say too about our JV team is that the only teams that beat our JV team in competition was the first place team, and of course Tokay varsity team unfortunately knocked out the Tokay JV team. But they did an amazing job, and if you ever wanted to see a group of dedicated individuals that practice all year round, these are the students, and that's what it takes to do. You have to put in hundreds maybe thousands of hours of extra study to be able to compete at this level. So I wanted to congratulate the students. Obviously, again, not very many students are here because of things. So, Ruby, you want to come up? I'm going to... So just a little bit. Ruby, how many years have you been coming to science club?
7.
What does that tell you? And because it's always fun to hear what the students are doing, can you tell us what your areas of expertise are, please?
Astronomy, earth science, and chemistry.
Thank you. We have 2 Zacharys on the team, but the other one isn't here. This is Zachary Iterian, and I'm going to ask him the same questions, like how long have you been doing it, and what are your areas of expertise? Maybe what will your areas of expertise become?
I'm Zach. Been doing it since like 6th grade, and I usually focus on chemistry and physics, but I've been branching out into other topics a little bit.
Great job, Zach.
Is that Chaz? So, because it's everything in science, all of the students not only have to specialize in an area, but they also have to have a broad background in basic things, including the Department of Energy National Laboratories. So, congratulations, Zach. Take a quick moment to say thank you to everyone for your support, and all of the parents and community members that help out with this competition. You just cannot do it just by yourself. It takes, we talk about a village, it takes a whole host of people to do it. So, thank you.
So, Mrs. Hemley, when you guys lost by a millisecond, did you have the right answer?
Yes, we have the right answer.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I was very sick that day, and I thought that we had talked about right after competition I was going to go to the ER. And so we're sitting there and we see our team buzz in. We're thinking, oh my gosh, we've got it. And then they called out the other team, and she had the correct answer. But yeah, it was you can't really complain when it comes down to one question.
Yeah. Good job, guys.
What? Oh.
We're very fun and chatting.
Thank you.
Mr. Palmquist, before you start, I did want to make a comment. Ruby, Dylan, stay standing, please. I was going to do this, but Science Olympiad switched so quickly. So there's a regional competition, and then there's a state competition. And Ruby, how did you do in state competition?
Got first place in one of my events.
First place in dynamic climate, which is this year it's glaciers and climate change. So, gold medal, congratulations. Thank you for representing us.
Finally, but certainly not least, we are pleased to welcome the academic decathlon team from Middle College High School, Mr. Jim Davis.
Good evening, President Mack, members of the board, Dr. Washer. You know, I've been at Middle College High School now for 2 years, and I'm absolutely amazed with what our kids are doing there. It's so much fun, and the teachers, there's not a day that goes by where I don't see their heart poured out to our kids. And recently, our academic decathlon team They just had a tremendous amount of success in the past, but this year they went above and beyond. And that happens because we have kids who are dedicated, but we have a staff member who is absolutely willing to give of herself and just do great things. I'm going to let her talk because she can tell you a lot more about what they've done. So our teacher and our coach for academic decathlon, Mrs. Andrea Giannoni.
Good evening. As Mr. Davis said, I have been the academic decathlon coach for the last 5 years. We've had academic decathlon at Middle College for about 16 years now. And the running joke has been that we're always a bridesmaid, never a bride, because we come in second. And this year we had a very strong group of students that gave their heart and soul to the topic. If you're not familiar with academic decathlon, the topic changes every year. And this year's theme was the 1960s. So these individuals studied 7 various subjects related to the 1960s, including economics, social science, art, literature, music, things like that. They also participated in speeches, interviews, and an essay. And so this year, as we sat at the regional competition, you know, they called off 3rd place, and we thought, oh, well, how did we do? How did we do? And then they called 2nd place, and then they went crazy because we knew what that meant for us. And so we won the regional competition, and we had the opportunity to go on to the state competition in Sacramento. And there we were in the Division 3, and due to our size and our scores, and these individuals pulled off some amazing talents. We came in 1st place for the Super Quiz competition, and we came in 3rd place overall for our division, and so it was truly amazing, and they did a fabulous job. And I'm very honored and privileged to be their coach, and it's all them because they put in those hours of dedication. So we would like to recognize them at this time, and that we have Therese Rico, Bosma Abdel Magid, Ashton Beatty, Emma Fazer, Taylor Luong, Brian Sunlaw. And then we had a couple individuals that, because they have college classes tonight where they had family obligations, they couldn't be here. So those people were Chandler Clark, Jasmine Ma, and Mused Abdullah. So they were an important part of this as well. But overall, it was a great experience. So I hope we have some seniors on the team that have been with Academic for the last 3 years. And so this is an awesome farewell to them, and that they all, I was really excited when they called that we won 1st place for the Super Quiz, because the mom in me was like, everybody goes home with a medal. And I was so excited. And we got to go home with a nice size trophy as well. So truly an amazing group of individuals.
You done? Sandra, how about joining me up there? I can do that. Okay. We have a proclamation. Didn't do it. Okay, have a seat. Okay. Whereas principals fulfill important roles as educational visionaries, instructional leaders, and community builders, while demonstrating uncommon dedication to furnishing their students with a positive support system that fosters academic and intellectual development. And whereas school principals work cooperatively to direct, develop, and inspire all members of the school staff and student body, and to communicate effectively with parents to engage them in the learning process. And whereas principals serve as educational leaders, responsible for managing the policies, regulations, and procedures necessary to ensure a safe and effective learning environment for all students and staff members. And whereas principals establish the academic tone for their schools by collaborating with the with and directly affecting the performance of teachers, striving to achieve the mutual goal of quality instruction for every student. And whereas educational leaders face many challenges in educating our young people, and it is through their perseverance and passion that Lodi USD is able to continue to produce quality, career-ready students. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education joins the California Department of Education in celebrating Principals Day by taking this opportunity to recognize the hard work of Lodi USD principals as we continue to encourage, support, and recognize those who have a positive impact on our students and the educational system in the Lodi Unified School District. We as members of Lodi Unified School District Board of Education do proclaim May 1st, 2019 as Principals Day.
Thank you, Mr. Knackstead, members of the board, Dr. Washer, as even with all of our students and everything up here being recognized well. As far as LUSDA, all of our administrators in our district, our principals, it's not just us. There's a lot that goes on at sites. Yes, we get to manage it, but from our cafeteria folks to our custodians to all of obviously our students and our teaching staff and everyone else, that's what makes the school run every day throughout our district. So very much appreciated, and I'll share it with everybody in LUSDA. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Washer, do you have a report for us?
I do. Mr. Knackstead, members of the board, want to share a couple things with you. Continue with the theme of recognizing our students and our programs. This one comes from Lodi High School. Their music program did very well at a festival in Hawaii. Their band, choir, and orchestra went away with awards, and their advanced choir came home with the gold. I did have to express a concern with Lodi High, though, because I was not invited.
Concern myself.
Neither were we.
What island did they go to?
We had a good time.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know what island they went to, but it's a great picture. And from Tokay High School, their Winter Guard competed in the Northern California Band Association Winter Championships at Lincoln High School in Stockton. They won first place in the novice class. There's a couple pictures. Their drumline also took away first place. We'd like to congratulate Plaza Robles High School. They are our second school to have an esports team, and there they are. They have competed already in tournaments, and so we're very proud of Plaza for getting this together for their students. We have already heard wonderful comments from both teachers and students on how this is helping their students and their culture at their school site. So thank you, Plaza, for doing that. All of our students left, but I did want to give a plug for our Valley Robotics Academy. I know that Mr. Palmquist has a report for you later, but our enrollment is open, and hopefully folks are looking at the website and seeing the social media blasts. I just want to acknowledge Delta College, and I apologize, I don't know his last name. I know him by Tim, their graphic designer with all the products that he produced, and Chelsea Von Geer from our end, helping with all of the publications and materials that are going out to folks. They've done a fantastic job. So Jeff will give you more information later.
Thank you. All right, it's time for comments from the public, where a 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes, but is welcome to distribute any materials to the board and or staff. Due to the restrictions imposed by the California Brown Act regarding discussion topics that are not on the agenda, board members may not engage in dialogue about the issue. So I don't have any slips of papers. Anybody in the audience?
Roll them.
I've been told to move right along. Comments from the board members then?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Miller.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the award winners tonight. My gosh, what an awesome thing to see from the board, to see this happening at Lodi Unified School District. I really appreciate that. And I know that a lot of other things are happening. Like, for example, the music in Lodi that Dr. Washer talked about. Those things are great because we cover every aspect of education in this district. Thank you.
Any other comments? Ms. Porter?
Yes, I want to further compliment our Special Olympics. I think that was just an outstanding event. I had an opportunity to go, as I said earlier, when we were over at Christy McCall. For me, who's been coaching for a long time, and I've been at many different venues and many different sites and many different levels of competition, that was one of the most inspiring moments in my life, competition life, to see these kids out there performing what we do. And I know it's Special Olympics lately has been in the news with regards to funding. I think it's critical that we as people stand behind those that provide us with the funding for those types of events. And we press our politicians to make sure that we keep these types of events going, because it does allow a lot of walls to come down and things to open up and for kids to see each other in a different light. So again, it was incredible having them there tonight. It was incredible for me to witness their competition. And it's a great a moment for LUSD and what they put on in that competition. So thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Neely?
Real quick, I'm going to echo those comments as well. This unified sports is such a great idea, and kudos to whoever put that thing together. I've worked with Special Olympics before, a track and field event, and the thing is you don't only help those kids help you. You get a much better understanding. So when our students play sports with our special ed students, everybody wins on that. It's huge. So, and Mr. Palmquist, if you get something going on the track and field, that's what I did. I'd love to do that. I'll be one of your assistants out there. Okay?
Be the starter.
Yeah, there we go. Also, I want to talk just real quick. We're going to talk about the Robotics Academy later. So this isn't about the Robotics Academy, but I wanted to share with you something I've noticed, and that's how well all of our groups, our employee groups, and us are working together now on things. LEA, we've had a couple of big things that had to be done quickly, and it happened. Everybody worked together, and it's amazing what can happen when we all work together and we talk and openly and just try to help each other. It was fantastic. So things are going really well there. That's all I got.
Okay.
Thank you. Like Mr. Nava said, I do want to extend my congratulations. And I think that he already said it, but I wanted to say it again, is the variety of things that were shown this evening. I have a soft spot in my heart for music. I did it all my school career, athletics, the same thing. And I wish I could say I did Science Olympiad and Science Bowl, but they may not have existed then either, but so I'm old. But yeah, they were just inventing science. And so, but what it tells you is that level of commitment for the students. But they wouldn't have that without an inspired adult, whether it's their friend or another adult within that grouping of kids, and it's just the teachers. All of that stuff comes together to really support the kids so that they can reach and experience different things. A couple of comments about, I absolutely agree with the special ed unified sports. That's actually, when I was in college, I took a CPR and first aid class. And part of that is that towards the end of it, we were at the track meet that was held at Sac State for that region and for Special Olympics. And of course, you kind of go, gee, how's this going to work? I got to tell you, I mean, within just a couple of minutes, you could see how warm and genuine those kids are. And it was a kick. And doing that, I think that was the first time when I really thought about the fire service, because my instructor for the first aid was a firefighter. And so we got talking, and he said, you can be doing this kind of thing all the time. And I did it my whole time in Sacramento. Once you get exposed to these types of activities and these kids and young adults, wow, I mean, the impact, like what George was saying, is you get as much as you give. It's is heartwarming to see. So, and I love the fact that we're doing that. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you that I totally support those. I'm glad we're doing it.
Okay, any other comments?
Mr. President?
Sure.
I would echo my colleagues' comments on the acknowledgments. This is a great time of year. In addition to leading up to graduations, recognizing our students for their accomplishments is something that really gives us great pleasure and reminds us why we do these jobs. And the unified sporting event, oh my goodness. When we talk about students helping other students and creating this positive learning community environment, that means that everyone is doing something right. And not only track and field, George, I will get out there and do soccer too. So this is fantastic. We cannot do enough of this, and everyone is winners in that. But in addition to my colleagues' comments, Dr. Washer, the Lodi Unified Got Kids Art Fair, right? So yeah, we had the art festival. It was at Elkhorn. We had over 250 pieces of art, and every single one is spectacular. 4 different categories, drawings, 3-dimensional, graphic arts, absolutely fantastic. And literally, we got to the end of it, and we liked what the judges chose, but we realized we needed more winners, so the superintendent and our staff went out and gave about a dozen superintendent's awards for there. And I suggest next year that the board participates in it, and we have board winners also. So, because these are absolutely fantastic, and there was no small feat. Dr. Washer's staff, Lynn and Valerie, set up 300 pieces of art in the district office to be judged, and then made sure each of the 300 pieces made it to Elkhorn for there. And the family and the parents that came out, the students, we had coat and tie event, we had flowers. It was quite a debut. Many of the pieces are actually on their way to the state fair to go on to that competition next. And you know what? They're going to win because they're that darn good. So great job. This is in addition with our poetry contest to support the arts, promote this type of involvement was absolutely spectacular. Very much enjoyed it.
Nice, very nice. Any other comments? Okay, well, this is the time of year when you really have to kind of pick and choose what you want to go to. In addition to things that have been mentioned, at Lodi High School campus on Saturday morning, there was the elementary track meet, which brings elementary students from all over our district in one place. And the thing that I enjoyed more than anything else when I dropped by was to see the teachers and coaches from schools, not busy schools, but from competing schools working together. And of course, the kids were having fun. The thing that always cracks me up more than anything else when I go to those things with elementary kids running around is that they don't need a gun to have a race. I saw kids getting 3 or 4 lined up in the infield, the gun goes off, and they're racing all on their own. There was no judges. They knew who won and who didn't win. But I always like to see when kids make their own fun, and that was one of the things that happened. Right after that, dropped by the math Olympiad at Tokay High School, along with 3 other of my fellow board members showed up to shake hands. I know that all of us were in awe of the math problems that those kids could figure out. I mean, I don't get it. I remember debits and credits, I got that part, but I never get the math. And they didn't get my math question either, when I gave it at the very end. So,
You stumped them.
no, yeah. It's a trick question. I got it. Okay, any other comments? All right, consent agenda A then. Are there any items that the board would like to pull from consent agenda A, routine business?
Mr. President, I'd like to pull item A2.
A2. Okay. Any other items? Is there any items from the public? Would the public like to pull any item from consent agenda A?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the routine agenda A, the rest of it except item 2.
Good. Do we have a second? Mr. Neely seconds that. All right. Then let's take a look at A. Mr. Khan, you have a, what are we talking about here?
Donations list?
Yeah, donations list.
So I think we're going to vote on.
Oh, wait, I forgot, we got to vote. All right. Figured that was. Let's call for the vote then. Students?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We have board vote. All right. Okay, it passes 7-0. Okay, well, Mr. Khan, you want, I actually will go ahead. What's your question?
Ron.
Ross, Mr. Graves.
Hey, you.
There you go. Gotta sit next to me.
Item A2 is the donations list. We have 3 pages of donations totaling almost $100,000. I can't thank the generosity of our community, and we can't do it without them. And all these are fantastic. We see a wide range of schools that are being donated to from a wide range of organizations. Not to mention almost $17,000 they've donated for God Kids, which is our school foundation that raises money for various activities. This is absolutely fantastic. Thank you, community, for supporting us, and your investment in us is very well spent, and we're going to give it back to you 1,000%. So thank you, and with that, I would move to approve item A2.
Second.
Okay.
A little slow in that second.
Yeah. Student vote?
Aye.
Aye. Board vote? Okay, and it passes 7-0. Okay, moving on to consent agenda B, this is student discipline cases. Do we have any?
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve
Okay.
consent agenda B.
Second.
Okay, you got a first and a second, you got to be faster than that, Mrs. McFarland. Okay, students, you don't get a vote on this one, so we'll call for the board vote. And it passes 7-0. Okay, other action number 1 is an increase in the library media services for grades K through 12. Is there any board discussion on this before we, or who's giving this? Mrs. Kowski, maybe I should let her tell us what's going on.
You don't need no press.
Again, we can present it again?
I'm just gonna talk just 2 seconds.
Okay, Lisa.
I'd like you to start at the beginning and go all the way through.
I do a very good job in an executive summary, so, right,
Saw
Mr.
you
Connexton?
Saw you at the Math Olympics. Very nice.
Thank you, they did a great job, and congratulations to Wagner Holt School for winning first place, that was something else.
Yes.
You know what, I didn't comment about this, but one of the Wagner Holt students also won an individual award. And he jumped higher and smiled bigger and clapped louder for his team winning than he did for his individual award. And I got to tell you, that's getting it right. And we saw that all the students were very involved with their teams.
They were very supportive, it was a great event.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good. And thank you for your help in making that happen.
Sure. I'm just the dollar person from what somebody said. Anyway, so last week I was here with the study session and we talked about some LCAP changes to the budget. And this very first one is what we'd like to do. We proposed then, didn't hear much discussion about it, was to increase the library media assist at the 712. We currently have staff in those positions. They're not full-time staff, the assist. We're asking to increase their positions to be full-time. That comes to, in terms of an FTE, 1.125, that is not including anybody new for 30,000, and then giving additional time for the elementary library media assist. And all of this is needed because of, for a variety of reasons, but mainly the one-to-one take-home, the check-out, check-in, before school, after school, and some other issues at the high school and the elementary school. So try to be short and sweet about it, answer questions.
Okay, any discussion? Mr. Hibbley?
I did have some questions, but I spoke with you earlier today and we had a good conversation. Those numbers that we were talking about hold.
They're accurate.
Got it, thank you.
Just real quick,
Mr. Neely?
I think it's a great idea to support the one-on-one. I'll be supporting this.
Great investment.
Ms. Porter?
Hi.
Hi.
Couple questions for you.
This is going to be increasing the individual that deals with the takeout of the Chromebooks, is that correct?
It will be adding hours to them to work with their librarians at the high school and at the middle school so that they can be there in the morning and in the afternoons to support the one take home.
Have we looked at issues where kids don't have their Chromebooks with them? Do we have anything in place?
That's part of what it is. If some students do not take home a Chromebook, they'll have to go and check one out at the library that morning. So that's part of all of this process to give some assistance in that end.
What about the issues of charging? Student opens the Chromebook first period, and by fifth period, the battery's dead.
Yeah. We do have, I'm not the technology person, but we do have, and maybe Mr. Johnson can help with this, but we do have spares at the school site in every classroom charged. I think there are 5 charged. So if that one student came back without a charged Chromebook, they have one in their classroom.
And then I've got a lot of questions about this because I know Lincoln Unified is struggling with this one-to-one home-to-school program for some of the issues I just raised. This individual that we're increasing their, and I know they deserve it, can you tell me what the librarian's role is now?
Yeah, the library.
Because is this a tech position that we're helping out or a part of the library? I mean, I'm confused.
The way that we're thinking that it should go through and our pilot has worked out is they would be additional services provided through the library because that's the central place where textbooks go through. So it would seem that this is like a textbook in scope in the bigger picture. So that's where the Chromebook should come from, is through the library.
I have just 2 more questions for you. According to is this follow LeBron after they lose the computer, we have to get them a new one?
Actually, we have a couple of things working on that in terms of they have what they call the home care plan. They can buy insurance, so if they lose it, the insurance company reimburses, or if they damage it, they can bring it back. And we're working on
are we liable or are they liable?
I probably shouldn't answer that question because I'm a program person and not the fiscal person. How's that? Maybe Mr. Khan could answer that.
The student and the family would be liable for the item just like they would a textbook if they.
Well, technically they're not, because I've been looking back years ago where we were like $500,000 in the hole on textbook returns. We have to provide them with a textbook.
That's correct, but they are still liable for the lost item. The law
You still have to give them a diploma though, is that correct?
Yes. You cannot withhold the diploma.
So there's nothing holding them to this, is what I'm trying to drive.
That's pretty correct, yes.
Yeah, so that's my whole point of this whole issue. And then finally, I did ask, and I don't know if you can help me, we do have pilot programs that were just randomly picked or.
They volunteered.
They volunteered, but there
We had
wasn't
2
done
sets
where
of pilots, one that started at the beginning of the year and another one that started towards about November, December. So the schools volunteered.
But the pilot program did not take into account any statistical balance, meaning do we look at the diversity of our schools, our population, and we try to achieve that in the pilot program so that when we give them tests, we would get accurate results.
I would like to say that they volunteered. We are, the principals represented their school sites and the teachers wanted to be involved in that. I'm not.
So when we do testing this year, we will have no way to judge their success.
We have maintained records of who.
I mean, we'll have no way to adjust their academic success with the one-to-home.
It's hard to really tie one thing to this is the only thing that made an academic success when you're doing many things with a student in a study.
Well, we do have schools that did not receive them, so we would have some balance with that.
We could maybe look at some of that.
Statistically, we screwed the whole thing up when we did not do this in a
organized manner?
Correct.
Well, I would say it was organized. I didn't want to say that. That wasn't fair because we didn't want to, people have to volunteer and be receptive of the activity before I say, or somebody says, we want you to do this. I think the idea of a positive influence has a better take on how well it would be received from the teachers, and we learn a lot from those 2 pilots.
So the individual we're dealing with here will be dealing with the Chromebooks. They are tech savvy a little bit, is that correct?
Yes and no. They will have some training on how to help with the pieces that the library media system can do. You know, check the power cords, make the keys work, and if they pop off, that kind of stuff.
Right, because I was in the library the other day at Tokay for assigning one of our athletes. You know, it was relatively quiet. I'm just curious what the librarian's role will be in assisting this or just being the librarian?
Mr. Johnson, would you like to explain what your role might be? I'm sorry to have to put you on the spot, because we haven't done it at the high school, any high school at this point, so I'm not sure exactly.
We haven't rolled this out at any high school?
No,
No.
it's been middle school and down.
Ms. Kotowski, you owe me big time.
Yes, I do.
Want
to go to dinner?
We'll discuss it after. Can you repeat your question, Mr. Porter?
I'm actually a big fan of Ms. Kotowski. I'll take her to dinner. How's that?
Well, it looks like you're taking two, Mr.
All
Porter.
right.
Could you repeat your question?
My question is, I'm all in favor of increasing the library media services. I want to know the role of the librarian in terms of assisting and helping with the one-to-home if we go this route, because there is going to be more than I think we anticipate in terms of issues regarding taking these Chromebooks home. So are we going to throw it all on these individuals, or is it going to be a collaborative effort? So basically I'm asking for, I know their job description, what's yours?
Well, Mr. McKilligan has mine over at personnel, so if you email him, he'll pull it and send it to you in the morning. I can tell you what I do on a daily basis, and I can tell you what my role is in the
Just your
project is gonna
role.
be.
I mean, I've gone on this, and I just wanted to express my views, and I appreciate you coming to the podium, but I think it's time for us to vote on this.
Yes, sir.
Glad I can help you with the input.
I'll
Thank you.
talk to you later.
Are you going to call for a public comment, Mr. Connexter?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Any other board comments? Any public comments?
Hi, thank you. My name is Marisela Sandoval Espinosa. I work as a library media assistant. I appreciate, Mr. Porter, all your questions, because those are the questions that are being asked actually today at the meeting that we had with the Chromebook one-to-one. It's a new thing for everybody. We're all, like Ms. Kotowski said, we're on board, but as we go through the process, grade school, middle school, high school, it's all different. But I will say this, I think your question, what you were saying, it's kind of two things here. The thing that's being voted on today is the library media assistant, that 1 hour. And just a history to give you guys, I don't know if you're aware, but that position was 8 hours back in 2010 before the recession. This is old news. This should have been done, restored back then. It was never. And it should have. And this should have been done with all the other positions that were, taken away and then now restored, but this one was not. At the high schools, at the elementaries, at the middle schools, they were not. So it's kind of two things. That should have been done a long time ago. And personally, I'm insulted that it wasn't, and even more so now, beyond insulted, because now we're being hit with the Chromebook one-to-one. I think it's a great program. I mean, I'm a parent. We don't have technology at home. We need it. I like it. But as a library media assistant with 7 hours, we just can't do that. So I think, it's two things. You have all these great questions, and that's what we were discussing today at the meeting for technology. And we're still trying to, figure those things out. And that's why we need 8 hours for our position, in addition to even more, because it's just so much support, so many questions. And especially at the high school level, when we have kids graduating, oh, well, did he, all these different things that are coming up with technology that we have. Furthermore, Mr. Johnston, what he does, he is still doing his job and beyond more, because we still have to support, we work as a tag team, him and I, to support this in addition to what he does with the teachers, with the students, and it's all more technology coming our way. And we're supporting that. The library is like a hub for that. Teachers are in their classrooms, everybody's doing their thing in their classrooms, and admins in their place, office assistants and office personnel, they got their thing going on. We are basically, everybody says, hey, go to the library. And we want them to do that. but we need the hours and the time to do that.
First of all, you do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And when I was teaching at Tokay, you were a shining star in your position. Second of all, I'm not going to vote no on this. I'm going to vote yes. I always plan to. But I was using it as a platform for me to voice my feelings on the one-to-home.
Yeah.
And how we look at it as a district, and now we need division on this. So I kind of pivoted off of what your needs and what you're very passionate about, and use it as a way for me to voice my feelings about one-to-home. You need that extra hour. You deserve it.
Yes, thank you, I agree, and I think this is good. I just think you have really good questions that are coming up at these meetings that all these people involved are trying to figure out, but ultimately, you know, technology is saying, hey, it's not a technical issue, now it's a site issue.
Right.
That site issue is going to be our issue.
Right.
So,
that's why I was kind of inquiring about the job description, what we were now being labeled as. But I'm a big fan of yours. You work very hard, and I never was going to vote no on this, but I do have my reservations about homeschool, one-to-one homeschool. I have some issues about the way it was laid out. That has nothing to do with you, but I did use this areas to pivot on that. So I apologize for that, but I am going to support you tonight in getting your extra hours.
okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. Before you leave, I wanted to ask one quick question. By adding an hour, and that kind of brings us back to level of where we were years ago, do you think that's enough, or how will that impose on your job with the one-to-one? Because if we're just getting you back to the hours you had,
Yes, that's
and now
it.
we're putting one-to-one on, which I'm in favor of it.
Right.
I want to know how that's going to affect you. And is 1 hour enough, or is that our starting point?
You know, yeah, that 1 hour puts us back to 2010's, you know, job description that we did. You know, fast forward now 9 years, I mean, technology has evolved, and now with this one-to-one, I don't know, at least I think we should have that option of having the time card, because as everybody's learning, I mean, I don't know, but I just know after going to all these meetings, there's a lot of we don't knows, and they just say, you guys will, every site's going to be responsible for that. And like, okay, that sounds like reports, that sounds like data entry. It's not all automated. A lot of the insurances, I think, Mr. Johnston, some of the information that we were told is going to be manually entered. It's not all super automated, and that's still adding more to what, like I said, what Mr. Johnson and I at the high school level do. I mean, he's already going to classrooms, teaching, supporting teachers with their duties, with their assignments, whether it be English, social studies. So that's going to add more to him, limiting to what we're going to do in the library. So I would say yes. How many hours? I don't know, because I'm barely starting to figure out this out. But yeah, you're right. Definitely at least that 1 hour to get us back, and even beyond how much, I don't know, but it's going to be more.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any other discussion?
Good evening, President Connexted, members of the board, Superintendent Washer. I'm Deborah Ladwig, the president of the CSEA chapter here in Lodi. And I have to tell you, I have never in my life been more proud than I am right now that I am a classified employee alongside of this wonderfully spoken woman who just talked about high school library media assistants. She is absolutely correct. You're going to bring us back, which is wonderful. At grades 7 through 12, you're going to bring us back to 2010 levels. However, at elementary, you're not. You're going to offer timesheets, which is great. But I believe that during the discussion, when Mr. Porter was asking questions and Ms. Katowski was answering, it seems that there is going to be daily needs.
Yeah.
Well, the library media assists at the elementary schools are stretched very thin already. So to think that they're going to just get a couple of extra hours a couple of times a year, I don't think is going to be enough. I really think that we need to look at what service are you expecting and making sure that you have enough people to be able to provide that service. There was a statement made a few minutes ago about 5 extra Chromebooks in every classroom. And so then I was confused why a student would have to go to the library to check a Chromebook out if every classroom has 5 extras. So I mean, I think that we have a good idea about how this is all going to work, but some of it doesn't make a lot of sense to me when I think about it. If I have a student who has a computer at home I provide them a whatever, something that they can use at home. I don't need them to bring one back and forth because they can do their assignments at home on the computer that I've provided. But I have to take them to school early so they can get a Chromebook out of the library to carry around all day long because there's extras in every classroom. That doesn't make sense to me. So as a parent, I would want to make sure that I had a choice to be responsible for this extra whatever it is. I mean, I understand we have to be responsible for the books, we have to be responsible for everything that is issued to our students, but some of this is just not making sense, and I want to make sure we're not making extra work for our library media assistants. If there's actually extras in the classroom, why would they have to go to the library to get it? Because they do have other work that they need to do. So it's just, I'm very happy with the 7-12 that we're going to bring them back to 8 hours a day because there's work to do and they need it. But I would love to see us get some more hours, some permanent hours back for our K-6 because I think they need it as well.
Okay, any other comments from the public?
Go ahead. Did you have? Okay. I just want to offer one clarification, acknowledging there will be 5 extra chargers per room, not Chromebooks.
Those chargers are just for one computer or?
No, well, the 5 extras for use for charging.
So there'll be one, I'm sorry, does the charger allow for many ports?
No, it'll be 5 individual chargers, 5 actual power cords. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a charging station, 5 individual power cords.
Yeah, I was wondering if they did.
Good evening. On the adding the hour position, awesome. And I had heard great things about they needing that time before this. There are questions about elementary. At an elementary site, they may have a librarian for a few hours, 1 day a week. So if you're looking at that's going to be the hub for checking in and out, that's a concern. We also have had issues this year at elementary, and I believe we had talked at one point in time about surveying and bringing those surveys about how that trial period went, and I don't think we've seen that come forward from those school sites that volunteered to pilot. Hearing from teachers, there have been issues with an hour into the school day, the Chromebook dies. Well, what if that's during CAS testing? What if it's 10 kids and you only have 5 cords to plug them in? I think we need to look at what were the things that happened, especially at elementary. I understand our middle school had some great comments. I've heard from elementary teachers that there were hiccups, and we need to hear what those hiccups were. I can give you a few anecdotal things about it, but I was not in the trenches, and I think it would be more powerful if we heard a report, a survey back from them as to what they had to work on to get fixed, because if you are sending them to the library to check in and out and fix, at the elementary sites, it's not there. And the teacher's workload right now at elementary and troubleshooting those things, it's consuming a great deal of time.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
I have a question for Dr. Washer. Along that lines then, with the pilot schools, is there any kind of mechanism to receive that feedback so that we can, I guess, eliminate as many of those issues as possible?
Yes.
Yes,
Mr. Henley, members of the board. In fact, Lisa has, she can share that.
Yeah.
I mean, not tonight, but.
No. And I'm saying is that as long as somebody will attack those issues and resolve them, they don't have to go through us.
Okay.
You guys can handle it. If they need more course, get them. If they need this, figure it out.
Exactly, and I do believe the director of technology came and shared a report at way back in the beginning of with the first pilot and some of the challenges. And they've been meeting regularly to overcome some of the obstacles, but Edith and I would be glad to come back. She has the technical side, and he has the program side to answer some questions, because I don't really know her sphere of work, so I would be happy to do that.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Also, a report is in preparation right now to list that, as we say, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
As well, so.
Good, bad.
Okay, any other comments from the public?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say one thing before I move that we approve this. I was a board member in 2010. I understand what happened. I was a very depressed board member, not because of all the library and media and all that kind of stuff that we lost, but all the other things that happened. And this district is barely catching up, barely. I think we should be at 2019, not catching up to 2010. That's my belief, and I move we approve the increased library media services, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, we have a motion and a second, students.
Aye.
Okay, board vote, please. Okay, passes 7-0. Thank you. Other action, item number 2, Ms. Kowski, curriculum and instruction reorganization.
Correct. If we can go to the item, I think it is. We mentioned this last week also during the study session, and what we're trying to achieve here is we have by structure of my department, we have program managers and coordinators, and we actually have 2 program managers that are doing the work of coordinators, and we'd like to change their funding source to support moving them to be coordinators. When we do that, we would like to reduce the burden that's been on LCAP by a percentage and put those to the restricted budget that the individuals are working, or those 2 positions work in. So that's one of the things that we're asking for. So really, we're asking for them to be upgraded essentially to program coordinators. One would be the coordinator of educational support services in LCAP, which is like a job in itself, and then the after-school programs and summer programs. Those jobs have grown, and it would help organize the department to be on a level basis. And then the other one is that we have one position in ARE, well, there could be more, but there is one position in ARE that's an ARE tech. There are becoming so many more reports and analyses that need to be done that we'd like to change that position to an analyst position to be able to respond quickly and efficiently to those reports and the requests. Currently, they're doing some of the legwork, but not being able to create the reports because that is work of an analyst. So that's what we're asking for. We would change their funding source to be 5% from unrestricted and 100%, 95% to a restricted fund, to be able to work on those reports that are needed out of restricted funds.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board? How about from the public?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve.
Second.
Did you get that?
You know what?
I think it was Mr. Navo's second.
Tie goes to Navo.
Tie goes to me.
Yeah.
I like the
I'm not saying
mention.
they're picking on the right side of the board, but
He's got
a little
he's got
bit.
a lot. Okay, students, you have a preferential vote, please,
Aye.
Aye.
and the board vote. Okay, passes 7-0. Mr. McCilligan, routine personnel matters.
He's not here, Mr. Chairman, so I move we approve personnel matters.
All right.
Second.
You missed it. I was waiting for it. Never mind. Okay, I got a first and second. Okay.
I know what your pity second.
Who's seconded?
There's no student vote on this one. So,
Who's seconded?
wasn't from this.
We're not the right side.
Somebody over here.
Who's on
No one on the right side.
Who's on
These
first?
guys are quiet, so when in doubt, it's Mr. Novel.
Made the motion then.
And second.
With me. Please, I'm sorry, but.
Okay, we have a 7-0 approval. Okay, student reps, communications. Who wants to go first? Who went first last time? Okay, you're going. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Knesset, Superintendent Dr. Washer, members of the board. I'm Alicia Townsell, the ASU president of McNair High School, and I'd like to share our report. Our special needs students were beautifully and handsomely dressed to attend the special needs prom during school on Friday, April 12th. Student government is currently working toward our Grand Gala prom and final spirit week for the 2018 through 2019 school year. For performances, presentations, and events, McNair recently held our annual multicultural rally where we had performances from multiple cultural groups throughout campus, including Hmong Club, Mecha, McNair Soaring Sister Step Team, Cap Amelia, K-pop, and the Vietnamese Student Association. For special student and staff recognition, since Teacher Appreciation Week is coming up, both National Honor Society and California Scholarship Federation are making appreciation cards for all of the teachers on our campus. Now for co-curricular. Our very first boys volleyball team is dominating in league right now with a record of 6-0. Also, a first-year sport at McNair, our stunt team placed second in league this season. As far as academics, our juniors are currently taking their Smarter Balance assessments. For upcoming events and activities, the Powder Puff game that we were talking about at the last meeting is all set and you guys are all invited. McNair's Powder Puff team will be playing Tokay on Tokay's new football field this Friday, April 19th at 6 o'clock p.m. Admission is free for everyone, so don't hesitate to bring your families. I hope to see you all there. Our prom is April 27th at the University Plaza Waterfront Hotel. JROTC will have an award ceremony to represent all of the hard work that the cadets have done both in and outside of the class. Also, they'll be hosting a field day for the cadets to display how much they have grown individually as well as a company. During the field day, there will be events such as a vest drill and ceremony squad, flag football, land navigation, and more. Avid will be inviting students to come to our Eagles Nest on Decision Day, May 1st, to take pictures and be recognized for declaring the path that they want to take on after high school and celebrate their commitment to college. To conclude my report, I'd like to request that if at a future board meeting, we could possibly address the topic of implementing more dual enrollment classes into the Lodi Unified School District, in addition to the new robotics program. Thank you.
Outstanding, great job.
Just out of curiosity, is the boys volleyball, is that a CIF sport? Is that new or is it?
Yeah, it's new. Like they play at other schools.
It's actually a CIF sport.
It's sanctioned by
CIF.
I don't know.
Mr. Knackstead should know the answer to this.
It's been a while since I've been in that place.
Mr. Stanson?
Yes, it's been a CIF sport for several years, but it's only starting to expand in our area to where there's enough teams to compete.
All right.
Thank you.
That's why I got the award.
Okay.
Good report.
Good evening, President Knackstead, members of the board, Dr. Washer. I'm here to give Tokay's Board of Education report. We had some TCALs that were hosted at Tokay's pool last week. I'm not sure how our team did overall, but I know we had a few students placed to go on finals day, and I think a few moved on to sections. Last Wednesday we had our senior hypnotist and breakfast. So this was where we had all of our seniors go to breakfast, and then we had our cap and gown distribution, which is only 29 days left, but who's counting? But after that, we went out to the football field, and we had a hypnotist from Reno have 20 kids sit out in front, and we had our whole student body come out, well, our whole senior student body come out and watch a 40-minute show, which I was actually part of and was hypnotized. Check that out, it's bucket list. We have our juniors versus seniors volleyball on May 1st versus Lodi. We had our first practice today. That's actually why I have the hat on, because my hair was really bad. We are starting to plan the end of the year carnival, which this will be like kind of just a hats off to a great school year. So we're going to have like vendors, like cone corn truck, the snow cone machines. We're going to get some bouncy houses, kind of fun games like that, have our clubs put on carnival games. Powder Puff first in Canary. It'll be this Friday, and I encourage you all to come because it'll be a great game. Good luck.
We don't need it, but it's okay.
We're starting a new program called Guardians of Garbage. We have noticed that a lot of kids do not like to clean up after themselves at lunch, so we are trying to get student members to get out there and reward kids who actually take part and like will pick up pizza trash, or kids who leave their stuff behind to tell them, hey, don't leave a mess, because it's not up just to the janitors to pick up after everybody.
That's great. That's true.
We have a spring dance concert at Tokay in the Tokay Theater on April 25th and 26th, where dance will be performing. It starts at 7 p.m. Admission is $5. Our anatomy class took a field trip to Stanford to look at cadavers. And so they looked at all body parts, limbs, and all sorts of things for future med students. Tokay now has 38 cameras on campus. We installed a new system to modernize our campus so that we can now protect the equipment on campus in general and student possessions, and also monitor if there's a fight. Teachers received new phones over the break in the classrooms, which work really nice. AP test review sessions are beginning at Tokay for our AP tests. The art history class took a field trip to the Lawrence Hall of Science because unfortunately the art museum in Berkeley would not take all the students that were attending at once. Our summer grad night tickets are on sale. Senior projects are due next Wednesday. During the 2008 recession, the funding was phased out for this, but our teacher at Tokay High School, Ms. Jen Castle, has kept the program alive and going, and it's really has given students an opportunity to go out in the education and immerse themselves in a field that they enjoy and kind of change the community and themselves for the better. Our prom is on May 11th. Bids are being sold at Student Services. Our senior Disneyland trip is now sold out, and we got party hopper passes for both days. Santa Cruz picnic tickets for the seniors are now on sale. Ag is selling tri-tip dinners tickets. Swim sections are coming up at Tokay, where we host them every year, so go Tigers. As well as our library has been renovated. There's been a lot of updates, such as painting. We've got new furniture. At the beginning of last year, or this year, we had just recently an expression wall put in where students can now write with markers on the whiteboard on the wall, just like poetry, draw a picture, just a way for them to express themselves. We also now have a wall for student art and new art that was put in the library, and there's plans to put in collaborative tables where there'll be whiteboards on tables and students can work together in groups on projects in the library. And that's my report.
Okay.
Jonathan, a quick question for you. How's the intercom system doing at Tokay?
Terrible, actually. We have not had intercom since the beginning of the year, so it's very difficult to get out a lot of our student messages. I'm pretty sure our English building is down, science building is down, and possibly math. Most of our buildings.
How are the clocks in the science building? Are they doing good?
No, not to work.
And so you don't get the student announcements, is that correct?
No, never.
Okay. And this has been going on, you said, for how long?
3 months now, since the beginning of the year.
Beginning of the year. So, wow, technology's doing a good job. Okay, great.
Mr. Carr, you got some stuff to do.
They're almost complete with the jive installation at Tokay, aren't they? There was one issue where the installation company ran short of the proper wire, I believe. But the bulk of all the items have been installed.
Yes, and what Jonathan mentioned, all the phones have been changed. We're on the jive system phone-wise. The bell and PA component of that, they need to do some additional wiring, and literally they ran out of enough of the wire to do it because our campus is bigger than any place they've installed it before. So hopefully, it'll probably be another couple of weeks, which means by the end of this school year, and we'll be ready for next school.
Great.
Mr. President. Students, great reports. It's time to update us with what's going on your college searches. Could you let us know?
So I was accepted to UC Berkeley.
Wow.
Awesome. And I was put on the wait list for Harvard University. And I committed to UCLA 3 days ago.
be attending UC Santa Barbara, so I'm going to go into the beach, number 5 public university.
Much partying there, not down.
There's no sun in the library. Sorry.
Congratulations.
Okay, comments from employee groups.
Top that.
Are you kidding?
Hello again, President Knackstead, members of the board, Superintendent Washer. Go Gauchos. And actually, the brand new library at Santa Barbara, there is sun. So, but the beach view, my daughter would say you made a good choice. It's a nice place to do parent weekend too. So congratulations, both of you with your choices. Obviously, Lodi has paid off for both of you in your continuing your education. Congratulations. There's nothing better than hearing that from a student that warms a teacher's heart. I wanted to give a brief overview of a couple of things. We are at the end of the year, and lots of LEA members have been rallying their sites on different focuses. We have MOUs galore this year. Our 7th and 8th grade orientations, we have so far 3 of our middle schools that have voted for some kind of an orientation. We have in recent years seen kindergarten and TK orientation that happens with parents before the start of the school year. And several sites have done a meet greet orientation for some of our youngest learners. We have lots of extended day kindergarten MOU. I know Mr. Neely asked about an update as to extended day and how things are going. I have numerous sites that was approved by executive board Monday night, and my understanding is there are several more that are still coming to us before our last meeting. So look forward to I believe we'll have over 20 extended day kindergarten programs going on. So teachers do see the value, and what's unique is those teachers are able to tweak that extended day time to fit their particular school site and what their school's goals are. And that's what is so unique about MOUs and having them be able to create that and come to their staff. And really, they've seen the benefits of extended day kinder in helping our youngest learners to get a jump start on reading and those skills that will lead them to college down the road. We have some concerns. We do appreciate and acknowledge how fast we have worked on some of the items, such as the Robotics Academy and the MOU that we worked on together to get that rolling so the startup happens right away. We also appreciate the long effort at the bargaining table last week regarding the teacher specialist position that I understand went out, I believe yesterday, to all members as part of the RBET MOU. Questions have been flying across our social media page, and we look forward to many people applying for that position. And in the spirit of us working together and clear communication going forward, and we're talking technology, it dawned on me maybe there's a way to do some kind of a Google form as we look at the start of next school year. So as Joe Cerna has had, some teachers have raised concerns about, well, I don't know what my room will look like. I don't know what to expect. I want to plan for this. And all of those unknowns going to a new school. But now it's not just one teacher in one classroom, it's your entire campus. So maybe there's some way that we could facilitate some kind of Q&A on a Google form between those campuses. Those teachers have a question,
whether it's Mr. Khan, the superintendent, the assistant sup, the principals could answer questions about facilities, how those first days would look, how to prepare for that. I want to thank Allison Garrity for giving me the tour and where Cerner would kind of be. I know some of the teachers have had that opportunity to look at that. I think there needs to be a little bit more as we plan with that shift going forward, especially for Cerner teachers going over. As we talk about getting rooms ready for next year, as we wind down and we close out, I know when we were on year round, we had checklists. Every room had a checklist. I had to turn in, I had to sign off, I had to say in blood, yes, I left this behind. No, this was missing. And I don't know when that went away, if it went away with year round. I kind of remember it at the end of the school year, and I turned in my keys that there was a checklist. Not that I'm advocating for more work, but if a little bit of work in that checklist helps our custodians and our site administrators know what's missing, what needs to be fixed, what is needed or wanted, maybe that checklist might be something that we could kind of work together collaboratively to come up with either a Google form on site or a checklist like we used to do, so that, remember, our timeline for startup is different this year than in the years past. Teachers are going to be in their room at the beginning of that 5-day window of them working on sites instead of the day before. So anything that we can do ahead of time to prevent, oh my gosh, I didn't know, and a teacher going into a classroom that doesn't have a projector or a smart board or a Promethean board, the end of the school year, those plant managers, and if we have any principals moving, they would have an idea before they even walked the campus as to what was going on. I am very concerned hearing from teachers about special education classes and paras. And I think some of my members have been emailing you regarding the situation of the sub-paras out at sites. Those sub-paras are needed. Some of them have been in the same room for 175 days. And so if they've been in there that long, why aren't we hiring them to stay there? Let's get this ball rolling so that the safety of those classrooms is taken care of and no one is left behind. I see the postings, I see they're out there, I'm not sure. I have no idea how CSCA hiring process works, and maybe Deb can speak to that and Mike can speak to that. But my teachers are very worried that as of Friday, they won't have those people Monday morning. So for safety, let's see what we can do to make sure that we're not pulling someone who's never been in the classroom, who, not that the person who supervises at lunch can't do the job, but they haven't been there for the last 175 days doing the job and have figured out the tweaks of that particular kid who needs that help. So I'd like to see if maybe we can work on that. I know Mr. I think it was Mr. Nava moved our personnel item. I hope you looked at those retirements. I think we're up to 55 teachers this year retiring. But then my concern is the resignations. Why? And have we done everything in our power to make sure that those teachers got the help they needed before they were having to resign or non-reelect? So I'd like to leave you with that thought. If we're going to keep our teachers, we need to train our teachers and give them all the support. I told you I would let you know about the Ports Baseball, and I have flyers to invite you all to join us at the Teachers Night Out at Stockton Ports game, May 3rd. Also, would love you to join us for the Day of Red on May 22nd as we march towards better funding and better education needs in our state. Thank you.
Michelle, I forgot to mention, I wanted to thank the teachers that attended the art show and supported their students. That was absolutely outstanding, and all the art teachers did an amazing job teaching our kids. Just terrific stuff, so please thank them for the board.
I will, and I don't know if you know, a whole bunch of teachers also were out on Love Lodi this weekend, working at some of the campuses. I saw some of the pictures at Lodi High. I don't know if you have seen the inspirational messages on the bathroom doors, but I know the teachers have talked about doing it for some time, and they were able to find a venue that they could do that. So I hope you, well, those of you that can get a chance to see some of the beautification that they did, and I want to know who ended up with the dragon.
Michelle, I've got a couple of questions.
I'm sorry.
No problem. I put an agenda item on the April 2nd meeting, and that was about the start of the school year, and part of it was, you know, trying to come up with ideas so that we can increase our readiness in those facilities. So one of the things I did bring up was that list. Now, I'm not a teacher, but I know some, and they remember that list. It was actually extremely helpful for everybody, that once it's there, it's really their responsibility to bring it forward. If you want it fixed, you gotta tell somebody. So, but then, you know, that allows everybody to communicate better on that. So I appreciate you bringing that up to kind of reinforce that that is something still needed.
And that might be a Google way to do it now. If we're moving forward, I'm not the Google expert. I know I have some coaches behind me that are better at that, and maybe that's the way to do it so that we make sure that communication goes back and forth.
And everyone here knows my Google ability, so I'm busy though. Anyway, the second thing is you had mentioned RBET, and that did go out to advertise and so forth, and you mentioned that there's a lot of questions. So does Leah have like a contact point or clearinghouse of, if you have a question, talk to, or?
I guess that would be me at this point.
Because communication really is the key to get this moving.
Yes, I got a couple of questions regarding it. The first questions were, where was the teacher, the master teacher, the model teacher? We had members that only saw the one and were looking for the three. So those were some of the first questions. We reminded them to read through the whole thing and then ask their questions. Some of our RBET committee members have answered some on our social media, and we would hope that they would contact the office or somebody at this point in time. We will be sending something out.
And it is a new thing, and that's why I'm asking that, you know, how are you communicating with your people, basically. And if they have questions, how do they get them answered, you know, so.
That is very good. As you know, there are some of those unknowns with that, but we allowed it to go district-wide first before we sent it out, and executive board met, oh my gosh, last night. Seems like so long ago. And we'll be sending that out via electronic email also.
Very good. Just a question.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, thanks. Any other comments from employee groups? How about Dr. Washer?
Thank you, Mr. Katza. Just one more thing, forgot to mention that back by popular demand is casino night.
Oh.
So June 22nd, got kids casino night at the Boys and Girls Club. We'll get you more information later.
What was that date again?
June 22nd.
To like save the date for that or something? Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, the
Right.
flyers look great, by the way.
Thank you,
Okay,
Lynn.
we only have one report tonight. Ms. Palmquist, Valley Robotics, enrollment process.
Thank you, President Connexted, members of the board, Dr. Washer. It's my understanding that we'll be bringing a brief report at each board meeting just to keep everybody in the loop as things are going to be progressing and have been progressing quite rapidly. I do want to single out a couple of things. We have prepared a very brief report on the enrollment process, but I hold in my hand, I won't disclose it for privacy reasons, the very first application for the Robotics Academy. So just like in businesses where they put the dollar bill and tape it up, this is our first application.
It's not George Neely?
It is actually Mr. Neely. But, that's a very significant moment. A couple other high-level things that we'll be bringing to you, most likely at the next board meeting or the board meeting after that. We have a draft education plan from Delta College. I met with Dean Vargas yesterday, and we have the entire scope and sequence of both the certificate for what would be an automation and mechatronics underneath their electronics technology department. That's the 8-course sequence that all students at a minimum will receive. We also have mapped out an AS degree pathway that includes the Associate of Arts degree in automation and mechatronics. Like I said, that was a draft that we just hammered out yesterday, so I'll be looking forward to working with the new principal. Thank you very much for appointing our principal, so that we will be getting you a draft of the entire education plan, most likely at the next board meeting. Significant accomplishment. As well, I just came from the Chamber of Commerce a couple of hours ago at their board meeting. They asked that at the next meeting, I present to them a list of what we would like from the business community in the way of partnerships, in the way of relationships. They have Cepheid and all of these other organizations, and so they've asked us to prepare a report. And it was an opportunity, I just want to say as we launch into this, to brag about our board, quite frankly. This doesn't happen this way in all kinds of places, and I think that the community is recognizing that we're taking a little step of faith, but we're doing it as intelligently and as expeditiously as we can, and I think they're very impressed with the direction that we're heading. So all that to say, those are some high-level things that you can look forward to in some brief reports as we move forward that are occurring. Oh, one last one. Ms. Von Geer has set up for us, I believe it's up to 6 appointments now for Delta College and for district leadership to meet with members of the state legislature, and we will be lobbying them on behalf of this project and the innovation that we're doing. So things are coming together quite nicely, but we have to start with really the first step. And so tonight we have for you a brief update on the enrollment process. We prepared an executive summary. Maybe we can, the timeline on this, this has come, elements of the open enrollment have come in different parts to you, whether that's through other board presentations we've had. The committee has discussed this at no short of 3 meetings. We also received a hot topic that discussed some of these pertinent enrollment pieces. Our applications are now open. We're keeping them open for a month. In the middle of that time, we have 2 parent meetings planned on May 1st and 2nd, one in Stockton, one in Lodi, so that we can get more information out. I will say that we've opened this website with the applications. It's been less than 24 hours. I believe we're up to 11 or 12 applications already, and that requires them to fill out a 2-page application and resubmit it, and we've already done that in less than 24 hours. So, I think this process is going to serve us well. Put up some pertinent policies as to what has shaped, the guiding principles on this enrollment process, and we submit them to you for your questions.
Palmquist, I really like the idea that we've already got a career path or a pathway in the AS degree. Mm-hmm. And I know this is down the road, but when I guess it was a Delta College representative was here, they talked about Bakersfield College actually having a bachelor's degree. Is that anything that we're looking at down the road?
Yeah, it's actually in the works right now. Yesterday in that meeting with Dean Vargas, they need their agreement between Delta College and Bakersfield to make that piece work, but they're in active conversations with that. The units would already transfer, so the BS transferability is already in place. They accept those units, but what he'll be seeking is a very explicit agreement with Bakersfield College to where it's really a pipeline for students who so choose. So the answer to your question is yes, absolutely.
This is going to be pretty exciting for our students, I would think. Thank you.
For one student, anyway.
For Mr. Neely, yes,
Yeah,
first
at least
student.
one. One very excited.
A couple questions. I'm sorry, go ahead, George.
I'm just going to say, first of all, I hope I do well in the lottery. I got to tell you guys, that this has been moving at an incredible pace, and I've really got to hand it to people that are just getting out there and just making it happen. Are we gonna have problems? Yes. Expect it. There's gonna be issues. And you just fix it as you go along. If you wait to try to get it perfect, we'll wait forever. And we don't have time to wait forever. 2 weekends ago, I was over at, we went to Berkeley and just kind of played around over there, my wife and I. We stayed in Richmond. And as we're leaving the hotel, the motel there, we look out there and there's a big sign that said, a Robotics Academy. And it was, what's the name of the, it escapes me right now, Jeff.
It's Aspire Robotics.
Aspire Richmond Robotics Academy. So they're doing it. And so it's important that we continue along this way and we look for innovative ways to get our students to come, those students that have left, to come back and to entice new students in. One of the first things that came out, Chelsea put on the on Facebook about the Valley Robotics Academy. Where's she at? Way back or whatever. Turns out we had a mutual friend. That mutual friend was a former student of mine at Able Charter Academy. So that student, who is now considering coming back to Lodi, is from Able. So that's good. That's a great move. I want to tell you all that I pushed really hard on our team to make our student body look like Lodi Unified. You know, I would love to have it look like half from Stockton, half from Lodi, you know, balanced demographically, all of that, and I was totally shut down. There's just no way that that's going to happen because of the way that we are forming the school, which is fantastic. What is it, Jeff? What's the?
So, you know, it actually can happen. It's just we won't be the ones hand picking and selecting.
That's
We're
true.
setting this up as an open enrollment. And if we do our job right and recruit and get the word out, as I believe we are, in addition, we'll be every single 6th, 7th, and 8th grader will receive an English and Spanish version of this. We're having that delivered to the school sites. If we do our job right, the pool of people, assuming that we'll have more than we have room for, should be reflective of our community. And in that case, a random lottery will produce exactly what we're looking for. I think what you might be referring to is the ability to handpick each student or to set some tolerances on it. And because we're pursuing this as an open enrollment and an alternative school of choice, which is really to compete with some of these other schools of choice, you know, our students will choose us, but that doesn't mean that we won't have high expectations and a lot of clarity on what it takes. And it also doesn't mean that we won't be recruiting very heavily to make sure that the population is representative of the students of this district.
And I think that's going to be the key. That's what we're going to have to do. But anyway, great job. I'm looking forward now to the next academy. We're looking at a healthcare academy coming along.
The Green Academy, man.
Green Academy, that's another one. The Hospitality Academy, that's another one. I'm looking forward maybe to at least one a year for the next couple of years, and then maybe 2 a year after that. Okay?
You should have it down by now.
That's all I
You need a science academy so you can clone yourself.
Okay. Mr. Porter, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just a couple of quick questions, more mechanical. What about extracurricular?
Yeah, so it's a great question because it gets asked a lot. Somebody will say, well, can they do football? Can they do band or other things? You know, in general, this school, they're choosing this because this is their extracurricular. The relationship with Delta and doing the dual enrollment, which will take place mostly in the afternoon, will severely limit, you know, maybe competition on the CIF team. Because if you're going, let's say if every Monday, Wednesday, you have a class until 4:50 like at Middle College, you know, does, then they're not going to be able to compete in those. I will say this.
Are we going to allow them to though?
We wouldn't make anybody ineligible from doing any activity that they want to do. The program itself may make it not feasible or logistically possible, but we wouldn't put any constraints on people to say you can't participate in the things you want to participate in. I will say this, I know that our recently appointed principal is already, you know, not only does she have experience in this area, you know, thinking about how do we build a culture around this, and so we expect that there will be student clubs and social activities and maybe other opportunities, but it will probably be defined by the families, the teachers, and the principal as to what is a school of this size, what can they offer?
I just hate to see them be blocked from enjoying some of the other activities that go beyond.
Yeah, it would only be if they choose to, if what they choose eliminates the...
It'll be able to liaison with the high schools that are closest to it?
I believe so. I don't know that, like I said, CIF sports may be a challenge if they're going...
Well, I'm thinking band too, I'm thinking all of that.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything that would prevent that. We haven't had that conversation with the comprehensive high schools yet.
It was just thought.
Yeah, but I don't imagine that we, of course we would like to offer all things to all kids. I don't think that we will be putting artificial barriers in, but the logistics of the program, and we're going to do that on the front end really carefully with families to say, hey, this is amazing as this opportunity is, there's a sacrifice too.
Well, I think that we could be able to work with the local high schools,
Sure.
and allowing them vis-a-vis transportation on their part to participate. I just
Yeah.
think that we could do that.
I think that we have a spirit of that kind of collaboration that will make it work.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Jeff, these first applicants, what are we looking for, juniors and seniors, or?
Well, they're current 6th, 7th, and 8th graders for 7, 8, and 9.
Mr. Katz, members of the board, I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that this is happening because of Mr. Palmquist's leadership and effort. So I know that a lot of folks are involved and have been doing a fantastic job, but he's taken this and run with it, and it's done an amazing job. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that.
Yeah, it's a great job.
Dr. Washer, that was one question that we asked him if he could do that when he was interviewed for this job.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he took it.
Yeah, so there's no choice, right?
And now we're doing about 5 or 6 more, right? Is that what I heard?
Okay, Jim.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you. You know what, we're down to board advisory committee reports. Anybody have any reports? Okay, then I need a...
I move we adjourn, sir.
Second.
There you go. Just before...
Oh,
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
We're done. Thanks, guys.
This is my final meeting, so am I able to take this?
Yeah, oh, yeah, take it.
Wait,
What's
what's in your final meeting?
The next meeting is on the senior picnic, so I'll be
Oh,
standing
wait,
Never mind, you gotta leave
your
here.
friends instead of coming here? This is not
You have
right.
to teleconference with us.
Lacy would never do that.
I'll be sending an apology.
She would forego all that and be here.
The answer is yes.
Bring everything.
Enjoy.
Teach you what? Okay, they never do anything. Okay.
You know, we're alone now. We have no background.
Yeah, you bring a cool chest.
That's fine, you're up on it.
Yes. They don't have these things in golf, right?